Hey everybody, so I wanted to share my story about my journey into integrative and functional medicine. And it really started about 13 years ago at this point when I had a random panic attack after a night of drinking. When I was younger, woke up, heart was racing, felt like I was going to throw up, didn't know what was going on, called an ambulance, shipped me to the hospital and said, "You got a panic attack, you're dehydrated." No clue what that was, completely foreign to me. And so, for the next 10 years after that, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what is the magic pill that I can take, or what is the magic thing that I can do to help me feel better. And there was nothing that immediately or even long term kind of solved what I was looking for. It was the quality of life had changed drastically overnight for me, from going out and being a social butterfly to now being stuck inside and just not wanting to do anything. But I would say the biggest transformation that happened for me was about a couple of years ago when I started doing a little research on my own around this whole concept of integrative and functional medicine. I was working with a dentist actually who was in the integrative dentistry space, and he had kind of chimed me into a couple of different things to look at, how to think about things a little bit differently. So I went out on this tear and read all the books, looked at all the websites, found different providers, Peter Attia being one of the doctors that I was spending a lot of time listening to. And ultimately, what I really came to appreciate is I'm a very analytically driven person, and so data is huge to me. Facts are huge. And so finding all the facts and the root cause type approach really attracted me. But part of that was, okay, there are a lot of providers out there in the functional and integrative medicine space where it looks like a little bit of a push to sell you supplements, this, that, or the other, versus a more genuine kind of connection. And so I want to just really share with you my journey of how I found my provider, and how I help other providers find patients like myself and patients that actually value the work that you do. And so, again, the first thing that I did was research. Again, it was Google, it was Instagram, and until recently, now it's starting to be TikTok as well. And I know you're probably going to roll your eyes and be, oh God, don't listen to one of those random creators online and what they're giving out. I'm not. I think there's a lot of bad going on there, but it's also a very great platform for legitimate providers to be utilizing. I started researching and just watching different providers' videos. I paid a lot of attention to their website. Was their website updated? Did they spend time on their website? Because to me, what that shows is that, like, if they spent time on their website, which is essentially their image as a brand, as a company, then they're probably going to spend time with me as a patient. And so spent a lot of time, again, going through different websites, looking at different Instagram reels and different TikTok reels, just to get a better understanding of, like, how does this doctor communicate? And also, right, like Google reviews, huge for me, right? Just seeing, that's almost like a prerequisite. When I Google something and I see that they've got, 4.5+ star reviews, that to me is a positive. Anything lower, I'm kind of just scrolling on to the next one. And also consistency with those reviews as well, right? If their last review was a year or 2 years ago, then I don't know that their quality of care is still as good as it is today as it was back then. And so consistency matters. So again, you have to get on these platforms. You have to be present. You have to have a legitimate, clean, educational website. Again, your website should be educating patients on both what it is that you do, what it is that you specialize in, and try to be as transparent as possible on pricing. Nobody likes surprises, and what I most appreciated was seeing the pricing around the initial consultation, the follow-up visits, the lab work. One thing that I really loved is that my functional medicine doctor actually was willing to work with my primary care to send out lab scripts for me, so that way they were covered under my insurance, which was awesome. I made it feel like this wasn't a money grab for her, but rather a long-term relationship grab. And so again, really respected that piece of it. And again, as I work with more providers, that online presence, both through your website and through social media platforms, is going to be huge. It's going to be extremely important that you spend time and effort into that image of what it is that your brand or what it is that your practice is. And what I love is I love practices that can celebrate their culture, the atmosphere of their office, right? So the ones that are recording on their own little, quick snippets on Instagram or TikTok saying like, here's a day in the life of our office, or here's something that we did as a team. Something that shows that the people of the practice are simply that, people. People connect with people. We want to be involved and we attract towards tribes. And again, for me, this is how I gravitated towards my provider. And there was a ton of hit and miss search for me. I mean, I went through multiple consultations, spent a lot of money through consultations to try to find the right fit. But again, the initial door that opened was the education piece of it. So when I felt that there was a credible resource, aka a provider on the other end, then I listened, I stayed in tune, and I asked questions on social media myself to see if there was a response. And the great ones responded fairly quickly, or they responded at all, right? Like, that was awesome. So again, I really just wanted to share my story and how you can really grow your practice or practices through the use of your website, social media. There are a lot of different marketing angles that you can approach this from, and it really depends on the practice, your location, what your approach is, and what your unique value proposition as a practice is. Are you focusing specifically on the vagus nerve and that's your niche? Well, then own it and let's run with it. Again, those were my discoveries, and I've talked with a lot of others that have gone through a similar path. If you have any questions or would like to just talk to me about what does it take to attract more patients like myself and like-minded others, then just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have a free 15, 20 minute, this little discovery call where we get to learn a little bit more about what you're doing. And I'm happy to dish out free advice and see, what you have going on. So reach out. Thanks.